And I think that that's something as coaches that we miss, especially when we're young coaches, because we try to emulate those that are our mentors. When in reality, it's not trying to emulate them. It's taking some of the core principles they may have, but they've got to fit you, all right, and the things that are important to you. Because if you can implement something, but if it's not important to you, you won't ever really back it up. You won't enforce it. You won't pour more into it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's LaVar Arrington here. Super excited about this episode. I get an opportunity to sit down and talk with the head man of the Texas Longhorns. He goes by the name of Mr. Steve Sarkisian, but, you know, if you're his homie, you call him Coach Sark. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, tough all the time. We're going to talk about what that means. Coach Pete Carroll, Coach Nick Saban, the coaching tree that Coach Sarkisian came from, and touched on Coach Dan Quinn as well. Great conversation, some really, really cool nuggets and really cool things we got a chance to talk about, and you're going to get to hear it right now. Buckle up. Here we go. National Football Foundation, good in the game. And 3, 2, 1, let's do it. We got Coach Sarkisian with us. Torrance's own, the finest of Torrance. You know, I live in LA, so I live in Redondo Beach. So,
man, you're my neighbor, man.
Yeah. So coached at Long Beach Poly when Antonio Pierce was there. So yeah. I've heard stories about you for quite some time. It's a pleasure to finally get to meet you. You had an amazing season, Coach. So let's just start right there. I mean, this is National Football Foundation show called Good in the Game. And this show is really all about what this game means, and in so many ways than just on the field. But I want to start on the field, and I want to ask you about this year's season and your take on it. I mean, you guys made history. Everybody who made it into the playoff made history, and you guys made it real entertaining. That game that you guys had didn't work out the way that you would have liked for it to work out, but some amazing football you guys played this year. Just talk to me a little bit about the season.
Yeah, it was really a combination of 2 years, you know, LaVar. The year before, we were in the Big 12. We were Big 12 champs. We went to the college football playoff, and we lose to Washington right there at the end of the game in the Sugar Bowl. And then it was, hey, we're moving to the SEC, and you know, you're going to have some growing pains. It's going to take a minute. And we went to the SEC championship game and lost in overtime, and then went back to the college football playoffs and went back to the semis, and obviously had a tough loss there at the end with Ohio State. But it's been a heck of a journey from where we were at the beginning when we first arrived here to where the program is today. You know, the idea that we've gone to back-to-back CFPs now, back-to-back semifinal games. I feel like our trajectory is on the rise, and we're moving in the right direction. We're recruiting really high-character kids. Guys are getting an opportunity to extend their careers to play in the NFL. We're competing for championships. So all in all, like that's the joy in all this, right? You put in the work, and you start building the program from the ground up, and now you start to reap kind of some of the successes that come with it.
That came without process, perseverance, overcoming. You've had quite the road to getting to where you're at Texas. A couple times with USC, went to the league, coached in the league, went to Alabama. I mean, you have had quite the movement and everything that has taken place. How did that play a part in how you are handling things where you are now at Texas?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, I think to some of the coaches that I got to work under, right? I mean, when I was at USC,
you about that.
Yeah, when I was at USC, I was working under Pete Carroll.
That's right.
You know, we had a great run in the 2000s, and then you know I end up working for kind of back and forth. I worked for Nick Saban for a year, then I worked for Dan Quinn for 2 years, and then I go back and work for Nick Saban for 2 more. And just the idea, one, I was fortunate, all 3 different men, but great men in their own right. They knew who they were. And I think that's probably the biggest thing now today from where I was when I was 33 years old as the head coach at the University of Washington to where I am today. I think I know who I am, and I'm very comfortable in my own shoes and my own skin. And I think it allows me to be really real and authentic with the players. And I don't feel like I have to ever put on a front for them. They know exactly who I am. I'm going to love them to death, but I'm going to call them out on their BS when there's BS.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they appreciate that about me. And so I think that's probably the key to the drill. It's like, here I am kind of at 51 years old now. I'm kind of in the second half of my coaching career, and I finally know who I am. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it took some time to get to this point. Because I think ultimately teams take on the personality of the head coaches. I think the good ones, especially. And I saw that firsthand with Coach Carroll and Coach Saban and DQ when we were in Atlanta together. And so early on in my career, I don't know if I understood all that, right? It was like, I want to be like him, or I want to be like him, or I'm going to take that. And at the end of the day, it's like, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And then let's start to convey who I am. Because I think I'm decent, I'm pretty good, and it's got me this far. So let's be more of me. And then hopefully that the players can appreciate that.
Let's expand on that. This is Good in the Game. That's the name of the podcast. Where did it start? How did it come together for you that football would be your journey and that you would grow to find who you are and what your identity is and how it applies to the world around you and how that plays a part in how you coach, with your players and with your staff?
Yeah. So the crazy part is, out of high school, I went to USC as a baseball player. And then I transferred back to junior college and I played both sports. And then I ended up playing
El
Camino Junior College, man. A lot of great players that come out of there.
Come out of there. Yeah.
A lot of them. And then I ended up going to play quarterback at BYU.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not LDS. I went there because they threw the ball before everybody else was throwing it. They needed a quarterback. And I stumbled into playing for a great man in LaVell Edwards, who, in my opinion, was ahead of his time, right? And throwing the ball and dynamic offenses and things of that nature. And I took my shot at playing professionally and didn't get drafted, and spent 3 years in the CFL and then moved back to the South Bay, moved back to Torrance and started working. But then I was coaching back at El Camino Junior College too.
Mm-hmm.
And I get my real foot in the door when Pete Carroll offers me a graduate assistant job when he gets hired at SC. And that was probably the first time, I knew I liked the mental side of the game. I wasn't the most physically gifted player. I wasn't the biggest, fastest, tallest, strongest, biggest arm. I had to play up here. I had to think the game. I had to be the fastest mental player on every play. So I love the mental aspect of the X's and O's and taking offense and defense and how they meshed and what was supposed to happen, right? Mm-hmm. You're always trying to think what the outcome should be. But and Pete Carroll was huge in that because I learned defensive football on a whole nother level when I was with him. He's a great defensive coach. But at the same time, here's a guy who had been a previous head coach for the Jets, for the Patriots, now comes back to USC and had taken kind of a sabbatical there for about a year. And he really transformed his own philosophical approach to coaching. He was following Parcells, I think, in New England. He was trying to coach like him, and he didn't even know who he was. And so he kind of found himself. And the knowledge now from that time there is probably more valuable today than it was in the moment. But in the moment now, man, it really impacted me. And there's a lot of principles that I still hold on to from my time with Pete. But he was almost ahead of his time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this day and age, he had the ability to tap into a generation of kids in the 2000s differently than a lot of other coaches were at that time. Mm-hmm. It was okay to have fun. It was okay to smile. It was okay to hug a player. It was okay but yet still be disciplined in our approach. And everyone was like, man, go to USC. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun, but it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's not recess every day. It was hard when we were there. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, fast forward, I get with Coach Saban, and it was like this regimented, disciplined approach. And I was thinking to myself, man, how does this guy get away with this?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because I just saw what the other guy was doing, in the 2000s. It's because that's who he is. Nick Saban lives one of the most disciplined lifestyles I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's 3:30 on a Tuesday, I know where he's going to be. He's going to be in the staff room watching third downs. Like that, you can almost predict his life that way. And so the reason he wanted a disciplined team is because that's how he lived his life, and that made sense to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so the point being is, as I navigated my way through that and I got to this job, it was like, okay, what are the things that are important to me? And then how do I instill those things into the team so that I'm going to be more at peace because our team is acting in accordance to the things that are important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's something as coaches that we miss, especially when we're young coaches, because we try to emulate those that are our mentors.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, it's not trying to emulate them. It's taking some of the core principles they may have, but they've got to fit you. All right. And the things that are important to you, because if you can implement something, but if it's not important to you, you won't ever really back it up. You won't enforce it. You won't pour more into it. And so that was something, a couple things just along my journey that have made sense to me.
What's signature to Sarkisian? What is Coach Sark's? That this is me. Like, this is what I took from all those things you said. Yeah. But this is my staple. This is me. This is who people are. They're going to take this from me, and they're going to say, you know what? That's Coach Sarkisian.
Or there's a fair amount of things, and I'm going to hate to like pinpoint one, but
okay.
we use an adage around here: tough all day, and I truly believe that's who I am. I truly believe that's who I am, and I'll tell you how I got to that. It's hard to like pinpoint it all, but like I've been through enough stuff in my life, right? And LaVar, you know my story, and most people know my story, right? I mean, you don't go through the things that I've gone through and have some resiliency and have some ability to respond to adversity in your own life, and continue to restore your career and restore relationships and continue to forge forward, when a lot of people maybe in my shoes would have waved the white flag at that point, right? Mm-hmm. And so how do I instill some of those things that are inside of me, clearly that are in me, into a team? And so quick story, I didn't know how to quantify what that was, right? How do we respond to adversity? We talk about attitude. We talk about all this stuff. Like a lot of coaches I'm sure you played for, right? In those first team meetings, talk about all those types of things. Well, we were playing Alabama my second year here. And about the second quarter, I looked down the sidelines, and there's Roger Clemens, man. And I was like a huge Red Sox fan growing up. And it was like, there's the Rocket, right? And he's a big man. I don't know if you've ever met
him. I just met him not too long ago.
He's a big dude, man. I was like, holy crap, man. No wonder
he's tall.
Couldn't hit from this guy. He's throwing 100 miles an hour. And so I went up to him in the game. I said, hey, Rocky, man, it's great to meet you. I've always been a fan, so on and so forth. And so the game ends, and it's probably midweek. The next week, I get a package, and it's a Red Sox jersey, and it's signed Roger Clemens and Cy Youngs and MVPs, and in the end, in quotes, he wrote "tough all day," and I was like, man, that is a great slogan.
Yeah,
I adopted it immediately, and we started pouring into it. Because I think that encompasses a lot, right? There's the physical toughness that we have to have in football, no question. You know that better than anybody. There's the mental toughness that you have to have on the football field as well. Next play mentality, the coming off of a loss, how do you respond? The dealing with a rehab coming off of an injury, dealing with our own personal issues and the adversity and real life stuff that's going on, dealing with maybe being demoted. All of a sudden a guy's getting more playing time than you at your position. How do you respond to that? To me, that's tough all day, right? You've got to have this sense of resiliency. You got to have this sense of perseverance. You got to have this sense of grit to deal with life on life's terms and the way it comes at us. And so that's probably in a nutshell the one thing I would say. There's a million other things we do, that I think matter, that pour in, that add to that. But that's probably the main one.
It's the perspective of it all,
Yes,
it's the perspective, because tough all day, you got to take it as it comes. Like you said, you got to make it do what it's going to do, because ultimately, hey, you learn all those lessons real time. you get to measure it and quantify it playing the game of football. And that's what I love so much. And speaking of that, you guys have a guy that's on your coaching staff that's going into the College Football Hall of Fame to be immortalized, and I'm excited to be there to welcome him in. Mike Huff, safety, big dog.
What a stud, man.
I mean, coming out of college, I mean, he was one of them guys like you. That's my style of football, the way he played, and it's great that he's getting the honor and getting the ability to be able to go in there. Talk to me a little bit about Mike, and then again, talk to me a little bit about what the National Football Foundation, the education, the things that go along with what's so important to the foundational components of what the National Football Foundation represents.
You know, I have a great Michael Huff story.
All right, let's get it.
Yeah. So I'm a assistant head coach. I'm running the offense at USC. We're playing in the Rose Bowl against Texas, and it's Vince Young, it's Michael Huff,
we all know this one.
It's Reggie Bush, it's all these guys, Matt Leinart, you know, all the guys. And it's 4th and 2, and I'm on USC sidelines, and Lendell White has been killing Texas all day, and we've been running the power play. It's been great. Everything is like, just run it again. Lendell's going to get a first down, and we're going to win. You know, we're going to three-peat, you know, and we're going to be national champs. So we run power to the left, and Texas kind of blitzes a linebacker through the backside B gap. And our left tackle just doesn't quite hinge, or our right tackle just doesn't quite hinge great. And so it spills Lendell kind of off tackle more. So instead of hitting that thing downhill, and he gets a little lateral, and sure enough, number 7 smacks him. Boom, he's down. We're short. And then the rest is history. VY 4th and 4, you know, they beat us on the national championship. So I got to look at Mike Huff, who kind of stole a national championship from me. I got to look at this guy every day. The other thing about Mike Huff, okay, another deal about him that I love so dearly, and he's in our building every day. He's got great rapport with our players, and really good for our players as they start to transition out of college into the NFL, because it's real life to him. He's lived it. And I can give you the impact he's had on Jahdae Barron in this year, and that why Jahdae switched to number 7 and he wins the Thorpe Award in the season that he had. But what Huff is really, his shoe game is incredible.
Okay. Man.
All right. He's got tennis shoes for days. Like, he's my plug. Like, this guy, if there's a shoe I want, Huff, man. Where are these new Travis Scotts? How am I going to get these, man?
Nice.
Boom. I get the box in my office, but he's an awesome asset to have as part of the program. You know, and he's committed to it. You know, he's not one of the ex-players that kind of pops in and out. He's here every day. He's on a regular basis. He's a great father. He's a great husband. Like, this guy does it the right way, man. And I know it's an honor for him. It's an honor for the University of Texas that he's representing us there in the Hall of Fame. And the National Football Foundation does so many great things, right? And you know, I've had the opportunity to be connected to this organization for quite some time. And the good that they do, the connection that they have to all of us as head coaches, to our communities and what we do and how we do and the way we educate our players about a life after football and so on and so forth. It's awesome, you know, and we needed this organization to really grow to where it is, right? Because of all the junk that's going on in college football right now and all the negative press that happens, we have a beautiful game.
Yeah, we do.
And in my opinion, college football is at an all-time high right now. That the energy, the excitement behind it, the exposure that not only universities are getting, but now the young men are getting, it couldn't be better. But we love to kind of focus on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that aren't so great. Mm-hmm. But the one thing the National Foundation has done is highlight the good in the game. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of good in our game right now. And they've done a tremendous job of trying to preserve our game, of what they've done with the Hall of Fame there in Atlanta, and all the great things that they've done is just it's truly special.
I know we're up against it. I got to ask you about Arch, and you mentioned all of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that are, and we just saw what happened at Tennessee with their quarterback. You have one of the arguably maybe the best quarterback coming into this year's group of QBs, and he happens to be the grandchild of the Godfather, named after the Godfather, Arch Manning. Talk to me a little bit about him before I let you get out of here.
Yeah, to a credit. And I know how much Archie Manning means to the National Football Foundation as well. And so I don't think Grandpa would ever let any of that nonsense go on over here of what happened over there.
They
But
got too much money, Sark.
hey, yeah,
Hey,
they're a corporation already.
hey, they're their own deal, bro. So yeah, Manning Island, you know.
Yeah, no, I've been very proud of Arch, and just through the entire recruiting process from years back, the way his parents, Cooper and Ellen, handled it all,
Good
they
people.
kept him level headed. It was never a big to do. Even when he got here, the patience to redshirt his freshman year, the idea that last year, he was the backup to
And then
Quinn.
came out, went in and came back out.
Yep, and starts 2 games for us and plays good football for us. We utilized him in some special situations. He was a great teammate the entire time. Forget the name on the back of his jersey. Great teammate, hardworking, super talented. And now's his time, and I think that's from a college experience standpoint, the trajectory that he's on is the right one. We're fortunate, he's a really good one. That was patient, waited his turn, and I think we're going to reap the benefits of that.
He's a bad mamma jamma, bruh. Jeez,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. And so are you, my guy. I
I
was a
appreciate
fan.
it,
I was a
man.
fan from afar, just living out here and hearing how highly people spoke of you. But now I'm a fan from close up, getting an opportunity to chop it up with you, man. I wish you all the best. Wish you great luck and success. So, Coach, I appreciate you taking some time out to give us some nuggets and some conversation about what's good in the game. So we got Coach Sarkisian here. Texas, the Longhorns. I'll throw up the sticks, that's them 11s, but I'll move y'all out and throw up the horns. You see that jacked up pinky,
Yeah, I got one of those on this hand,
yeah,
so
right?
I know.
There you go. You got that mallet. See, I got that one on this finger. We got them battle wounds, but Coach, I appreciate you. Wish you all the best, and we got to do this again, man. We got to circle up.
Sure, man.
I feel like there's more for us to talk about, and we'll do that one day.
No question. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you, Coach. All right. That's Coach Sarkisian. That's right. We talk about everything that's good in the game here. Listen, from talking about old school safeties winning it, the national championship that is for Texas over the team he's coaching now, over the team that he coached then. Yeah, and there's also the idea of, you got to go on a journey if you're going to have some success. Isn't that right? We're going to talk about all those things with the coach, and it's been a pleasure. I'm LaVar Arrington. This is Good in the Game, National Football Foundation. We'll catch up with you next time.